Thank you for the reminder. Thanks for coming to the Finance Committee of April 23rd. And thank you for your patience as we moved in here and our staff got us all set up. But I think we're ready to go. They nodded at me, so we will get started and try to move this along as quickly as possible. So I'm calling the meeting to order, and let's please take a roll.
Taylor. Here. Long.
Here.
Powell. Here. Cavell.
Here.
Smith Charles.
Present.
Spiz.
Present.
Woodward.
Here.
Markham.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Excellent. Okay, let's all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we have approval of our previous minutes, moved by Commissioner Long, supported by Commissioner Smith Charles. Any additions or deletions? Let's prompt the vote. Excellent. Motion carries. Next, we have approval of today's agenda, moved by Commissioner Smith Charles, supported by Commissioner Woodward. Any additions or deletions? Seeing none, let's prompt the vote. Okay, motion carries. Next on the agenda is our first public comment. This will be for anything that's on today's agenda. We'll have a second public comment at the end where you're welcome to speak on any topic you wish to discuss. So I have a couple of lists of people who have signed up to speak, and I will just start with that. And then if you're not on the list, you can go ahead and sign up out at the aisleway out there, and we will make sure everybody is heard. So we will start our first everybody gets 3 minutes, and I think Mike Keys is keeping the timer over there. So we'll start with Joe Roselle.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. I'm Joe Roselle. Here as second vice president of UAW Local 889, which represents employees in the equalization office. It's like I woke up today in Washington, D.C., arrived in Pontiac, where we are alienating our allies, no, not Canada, but the cities and townships that we're supposed to be supporting. We have our own version of Elon Musk engaging in some good old-fashioned union busting, trying to put our members in the equalization division out on the street in what you can call a triple-digit contract tariff on these assessment contracts. I passed out to the members of the Finance Committee a photograph of Deputy Executive Carlson at last month's Finance Committee, where he says, in an attempt to get you to spin off Clemis, we're not trying to have 5 to 7% increases for the next 5 years. That's not sustainable for these local communities. Interesting, but a triple-digit increase is sustainable? Next quote from Mr. Carlson, same meaning. It's one thing for us to subsidize communities within Oakland County, but Clemis includes law enforcement and courts outside of the county, so we can't subsidize that. So which is it? You all are smart. You get it just like I do. They come to one meeting and they tell you one thing, and they come to another meeting and they telling you something different. So the question is, are you going to stand up and stop the behavior, or are you going to allow it to continue? We have skin in the game with assessing. There are communities either under court order or state tax commission order that were transferred to the county because of corruption or incompetence. One community alone, when it was added on and had the county perform the assessing, added $3 million of taxable value to the assessment roll. Look, under Executive Murphy, under Executive Patterson, it doesn't matter, like them or not, we subsidize this function because we saw value in consistency, being impartial, and having real-time access to data for financial forecasting. If this gets spun out, nobody's bringing the assessing in-house. They're going to go with a bargain basement assessing with a bunch of high school kids running around with measuring tapes, and we're all going to suffer as a result of that. I'm going to be here another 15 years, and those of you that are going to be here, I'm going to be standing right back in the same spot saying, I told you so. Do not put UAW members on the street out of work. That's 38 people roughly that are involved, that take pride in serving the people of this county and the cities and townships in this room. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rozelle. Next up, we have Mike Swain.
Good morning. I'm Mike Swain. I'm a unit vice chair here on behalf of our members with UAW at Equalization. It seems that every time this board meets, they determine a different way to calculate rates. The Sheriff's Department was 15% in year 1, and then 6% plus CPI in years 2 and 3. Now, I'm an epidemiologist by training, so I study cause and effect, usually with diseases. The diseases is this assessing rate, and the cause is retaliation for our members who do this work who decided to join a union. It's a race to the bottom for labor here in Oakland County. How do you think you get cheap rates? What will these CVTs do? They're going to contract it out to the cheapest bidder who's looking to make a quick dollar. And you know, the more qualified people you have, the less errors you have. This affects county revenue. The $3 million you might generate here, you can lose through tribunal losses, omitted properties, and mistakes. It affects the county's revenue. In terms of privatization, where do we stop? What about these two county appointees who spent their days filming UAW members engaged in protected activity? Privatize them. This is retaliation, another piece of evidence on that line, pure and simple. The deputies union was not mentioned once when you guys voted on that last year. The UAW is listed all over this packet today that you're voting on. Again, retaliation. We have CVTs calling Region 1 UAW asking if we got a 150% raise. Let me make this clear. You all got a 20% raise. We got a 3% raise. There's no triple-digit raise. And we also took healthcare concessions, which happened to not make it in the packet. The rate increases have nothing to do with the UAW contract. The county's been subsidizing these rates since 1971, 20 years before I was alive. Our members are so distressed that a number of them, many of them, are seeking mental health counseling and services. The county talks about wanting to control healthcare costs, but putting county employees in this predicament, it seems like many weeks out of this year at this board, is not the way to control healthcare costs, and it's not the way to treat your employees. It's time to take these rates back to the drawing board, create a tiered model, phase in the cost over time. You're the elected board, that's your prerogative. But I suggest talking to the CVTs, talking to our very qualified members who do this work, and protecting the future of public services in Oakland County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swain. Next up, we have William, I think it's Carrington. Does that ring a bell? Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Chairman Woodward and esteemed members of the County Commissioners, I come before you this day as president of We Care Neighborhood Association. I know this item seems not as serious as the two gentlemen that just came before me, and it seemed like I should be coming before you concerning that issue as well, but I'm gonna speak on this particular issue at this moment. I am president of We Care Neighborhood Association, a nonprofit organization, to humbly ask your support for a grant for our Pontiac Growing to Live community garden. Pontiac Growing to Live is a community garden initiative that provides Pontiac residents with access to fresh food, educational opportunities, and a shared space of community engagement. The project is located at the corner of Ivory and Oliver Street in the GM Modern Housing Community Neighborhood District and serves as a valuable resource for families looking to learn and participate in sustainable food production. Each participating family receives a garden bed along with all the essential tools and materials needed to cultivate their own fruits and vegetables throughout the growing season. It also builds and promotes community and fosters a sense of shared responsibility to maintaining a sustainable environment. Since its inception, Pontiac Growing to Live has helped many residents develop gardening skills while creating a space where people can come together, share knowledge, and support one another. Again, I definitely ask for your humble support in this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have George Koulis, I think.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. George Cullis, Holly Township Supervisor. You know, we're all dealing with the inflation from the last few years. Costs have gone up. Our contracts are going up. Cost for health care is going up. HR cost, everybody's looking for the cost of living to keep up. We get that. So we expect to see increases, but nothing to this nature. And my question is, what's the premise for this? I looked at the on page 14 of Mr. Coulter's county executive message. He promotes the fact that you had in 2023 a 42% general fund balance. Now, prior to that, the county had moved from a 20% to a 25% ongoing general fund balance. That was a goal. And they had a designated 5% for the rainy day fund, which puts it at 30%. But you're boasting 42.1%. Then I looked at the budget plan for the next years going forward, and you stay in that same area going forward. So I don't understand why such an increase comes. But I think, as it's been said before me, you need to understand that, especially in a small community like Holly, I don't walk around with a $30 million budget. I walk around with a $1.4 million budget. It's not that big. And we've got expenses just like everybody else do. We fight to struggle with our fire department to keep them going because we don't have that tax base. The equipment that we buy isn't cheaper because we're a small community. Those trucks are expensive. We've got those kind of costs that we have to look at. And I don't understand. We haven't seen a plan that says why there is nothing there. So I would just like you to think about these things when you go forward. You've got this great fund balance way above where it needs to be by 17%, and yet you're still looking at more and more increases. It's hard to not see it as nothing more than a money grab. And those are the words that you hear in the hallways prior to the meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Sean Miller.
Good morning. My name is Sean Miller. I'm the duly elected clerk of Springfield Township, and I am here to fight for my taxpayers and oppose the proposed assessing rates. What's being proposed here isn't policy. It is a blatant, calculated money grab. It's reckless, it is short-sighted, and it is an insult to the municipalities who have trusted this county to be a partner and not a predator. You are setting the stage for a mass exodus. If this passes, many, if not most, of the municipalities that contract with Oakland County for assessing services won't renew their agreements. Why would they continue to pay into a system that's actively working against them? This proposal will not generate the sustainable revenue you're hoping for. It will have the opposite effect: lost partnerships, reduced trust, and lasting damage to the county's reputation. What you're proposing is extortion. Let's be clear. These aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. These are real-world consequences for cities, villages, and townships. Already balancing tight budgets and already doing more with less. And now you're asking them to foot the bill for your fiscal irresponsibility? One of the most offensive parts of this whole proposal is the charge for indirect costs. County taxpayers are already paying for these costs, and now the Board of Commissioners wants to double tax them? You still have a chance to do the right thing. Reverse course. Show the municipalities and the people who live in them that you're capable of leading with foresight instead of with force. Because if you push this through, it will not be forgotten and it will not be forgiven. Because let's be honest, this board has developed a reputation of making decisions that consistently harm Oakland County residents. I, of course, am speaking about the obscene increases to the law started on what this board recently did to the nurses at Children's Village. And now, with these proposed equalization rates, you're on the verge of cementing that legacy of poor decision-making. Is that really how you all want to be remembered? This board should be asking itself, are we serving the public in good faith, or are we setting fire to decades of collaboration for a one-time financial fix? You are creating a mess that future boards and residents will have to clean up.
Thank you. Next, we have Ethan Hahn.
Good morning, all. Ethan Hahn, Finance Director and Treasurer, City of Huntington Woods. As an Oakland County resident and an individual who's spent most of his career in Oakland County, I've historically been very proud and impressed by the level of collaboration between Oakland County and its cities, villages, and townships. I think that's an exception to the rule, especially in Michigan and even in this country. And I'm proud of that tradition, and I think these rates definitely betray those values. I think the rates of increase are poorly timed and very unrealistic. Last night I presented my budget to our city commission and I priced in 50% increase for assessing services for our city. Now we're talking 150, other communities are higher, and I just think that in the interest of preserving our values and our relationship between the county and cities and villages and townships that is a model for the country, I think that these rates should be revisited. There should be some collaboration, and I think an easy solution can be achieved that can protect jobs and other people's, and protect jobs and all of our taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Linda Kunath.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Markham, and members of the Finance Committee. I'm here on behalf of the City of Madison Heights to voice our deep concern over the proposed increase in charges for equalization services. Currently, Madison Heights pays $237,787 annually for these services. Under this proposal, the number skyrockets to $410,407, then to $449,107. A 194.7% increase. This increase is unreasonable and unacceptable. What's even more unacceptable is the complete lack of communication. At no point were we contacted by Oakland County regarding this proposal. No meeting, no discussion, no effort to collaborate with us on a plan that recognizes the very real fiscal challenges facing communities like ours. This is how you build strong communities. This isn't how you build strong communities. This is how you break them. In the next fiscal year, Madison Heights has already been forced to eliminate 4 full-time staff positions and cut over $1 million in capital expenditures. These are not just numbers on a spreadsheet. These are people, these are services, these are quality of life issues for our residents. And now you're asking us to pay nearly double for services that benefit not just us, but Oakland County. Equalization services are not just a product we buy, they're a critical part of the county's infrastructure and responsibilities. They ensure fair taxation, which benefits the county, the schools, the arts and parks, and every public institution that relies on property tax revenues. And yet, instead of working with us, the county is pricing us out. How exactly are we expected to cover these costs? By making even deeper cuts? By sacrificing police, fire, or community development? What kind of disinvestment in local communities is short-sighted, and this is short-sighted and damaging to local communities? I urge this committee to vote no on this proposal. If you truly value strong, thriving communities in Oakland County, then this is not the way to support them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up, we have Drew Benson.
Good morning, Finance Committee members. My name is Drew Benson, and I serve as the Assistant City Manager for the City of Wixom. Like many other members in the audience here today, Wixom is one of the communities that partners with Oakland County for assessing services. In fact, this proposed contract will affect over half of the cities and villages and townships in Oakland County, and I too am here to speak in opposition to the proposed dramatic cost increases. I can appreciate that a smoothed option was offered at 20 to 30% per year over 3 years as opposed to the first year. Either option is untenable for many of our communities and is forcing decisions during budgeting season that we don't have the time to respond to. We don't have the time to weigh our options. And like many others have mentioned, the decisions that local communities like Wixom will have to make may lead to worse outcomes, right? The county has a vested interest in making sure that assessing rates, the tax rates, the taxable values are set at a way that benefits all of us. I think that Mr. Lohmeyer and the equalization team do an outstanding job. I have nothing but great things to say about our relationship with them over the years, and we'd like to continue that. So I ask you all to reevaluate how you're apportioning your indirect costs, work with us as local communities to come up with a proposal that works for all of us, and let's hope that we can find a way to continue working together for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Steve Brown.
So real quickly, I don't want to spend too much time because Drew's spoken on a lot of points on behalf of the city of Wixom. I'm the city manager with Wixom. Long story short on this, I'm disappointed on this contract proposal from the county on this for a lot of reasons. The cost increase is way beyond anything that we would have anticipated. We thought we were pessimistic enough and made a 25% cost increase estimate for our upcoming budget process, or actually for a budget process that's nearly complete now. And instead, we're going to be looking at 60%. That seems a little bit beyond what we could have reasonably anticipated. Secondly, I think just from a standpoint of how it was done, communication up front with communities was lacking. And, we value the partnership that we have with Oakland County on this service that is provided to us, but we don't feel like we were treated as partners in this process. And that's really the number one thing that I wanted to make mention of. The costs are onerous. The notice was not enough. And then, we look at things that are available to us online, a 290-page document that explains how things were developed, again, with no real time to evaluate it in any meaningful way. Just disappointed with how this was handled and hope that it's reconsidered. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Anthony Mogi, or Mogio, I'm not sure. Sorry I butchered your name.
Oh, I'm used to it. It's good. Thank you. Committee members, Anthony Maggio.
Please say your name the way it's supposed to be said.
Absolutely. Anthony Maggio, City of Rochester, Finance Director and Treasurer.
Thank you.
I want to just talk a little bit. I love the 3-minute timer, by the way. I wish we had that. So I want to say just a little bit on philosophy has been the biggest thing that drove me on this. The county traditionally has been very open and transparent and very communicative with its CVTs. The way we found this out, I found this out, was one of the managers found it on the committee agenda, passed it to our manager gave it to us, and it was like slap in the face. Where did this come from? The county has always prided itself on a multi-year budget, AAA bond rated. We pride ourselves on a multi-year budget, 3 years, also AAA rated. And at no point in the third year out was there anticipation of having such significant changes or needs having to be pushed down to the CVTs. traveling across the state as I do, Oakland County traditionally has always been kind of the one that everyone looked to as what a model county government should be on how it works and interacts with the CVTs. My view is we're starting, unfortunately, to get to a point where we're kind of, on appearance, going backwards. We're supposed to be, all together moving forward, and I'm not sure exactly how well this is in togetherness and moving forward. We all are in the same boat, local government, right? County, CVTs, and all of that. And I want to echo the comments about the partnership. There is nothing together that we can't assist or help on a proposal to help all of us get through this. We have a budget that has already been submitted to City Council, and that is before this even first came on the radar. It was nowhere in any of the 3 years as a potential or a threat or a, hey, this is coming. I remember, if it was 10 years or so ago, the years slip my mind these days, when we had the last larger increase on the contract with the assessing. There was a lot of communication and discussion that was pushed on with the CVTs and equalization about what's going on, what's happening, why it's happening, what are your thoughts? They were getting input, seeing what was going on. It wasn't so much of a smack in the face. And I think that, for me, has been one of the big issues on this one. And I really hope we don't go down the slope of losing that cohesion, because the county really should remain a model for all the other counties across the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Marcy Moriwaki. Marcy Moriwaki.
Hello, 2 hard names right in a row, sorry, and we're both from City of Rochester. So Marcy Moriwaki, City of Rochester, Deputy, oh, I almost promoted myself, Deputy Finance Director, Deputy Treasurer. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak. The City of Rochester has great respect and appreciation for the work of Oakland County's assessing department, and Michael Lohmeyer does a wonderful job. We've consistently benefited from high quality and professional and responsive service, and we view our relationship as a true partnership. In the past, proposed changes to rates and service levels were accompanied by advance notice and clear rationale, which allowed us to plan responsibly and engage in productive discussions with county staff. The surprise and timing of this is, for lack of a better term, a smack in the face. This year, we were not formally notified of the proposed rate changes. We became aware of it by happenstance. Luckily, as a side note, our proposal was found one day after we had presented our proposed budget to our city council, leaving us no ability to adjust and forecast for these significant new costs. This is a serious breakdown in communication and undermines the planning and transparency that we've come to expect from the county and as our partners. So the City of Rochester would have an 85% increase from this assessing cost to the proposed one. It's extreme, it's unmanageable, and in light of the general property tax law in Michigan, which caps taxable value growth to 5% or CPI, whichever is less, it seems to speak way out of line with what we have available to us. We hold these legislative caps, and how do we reconcile that 85% increase with our 3.1 revenue increase of this year? So according to the Maximus report, the rate increases are partially driven by indirect cost allocations. So the City of Rochester pays to Oakland County and the general operating tax almost $3.5 million a year. Shouldn't these indirect costs already be covered by that general operating tax? Isn't some of those same overhead costs being included in the formulas used for the proposal? Isn't this double taxing our residents? We urge the committee to reconsider these indirect costs and appropriately include them to make sure that they aren't charged duplicative or excessive. So I'm sorry, I've got a little bit more. Maybe I have time. No. Let me just jump to the end. We're not here to dispute the value of the services provided. We depend on them. We can also advocate for our residents. Please reconsider this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Amy Hillman. Amy Hillman? Oh, okay.
Hello, I am Amy Hillman. I'm the Deputy Supervisor for Holly Township. I wanted to support the community garden efforts there in Pontiac. Community gardens within our small communities and large multiple or municipal governments actually encourage placemaking, as well as the congregation of people that may not meet in their normal day-to-day lives. It increases the health and safety for our communities and actually becomes a legacy of teaching one how to properly eat, which encourages health and safety and helps with those nasty health costs that seem to come our way. So please do support that as we move forward into our coming year. I would have to echo all of the sentiment of our fellow CVTs here in regards to the assessing and the equalization costs. In Holly Township, we've actually operated on the same one mill since 1930. So for the last 95 years, our operating costs have been as low as we can possibly go. So the increase smack dab in the middle of a 4-year contract seems to, hold us ransom or hostage, being that now when we are trying to look forward into the development of our own community and the development of our own employees and our community as a whole, we are now going to be held hostage by the increased costs of our partnership with Oakland County, to where what was supposed to bolster our property and supposed to secure our community is now going to be a hindrance in the development of our own policies and procedures and our own development of projects like community gardens and just bolstering our own employment. When we think about those that are actually doing these jobs, how are we supposed to increase their quality of life when we are so focused on the bottom line because we have no ability to move? Because we have now become ransom in the smack dab in the middle of a 4-year contract. And is that the goal? Do you realize that you now are going to be pushing CVTs to possibly encourage the employee as the assessor instead of the partnership with Oakland County? Is that maybe the end goal? So I would ask that you reconsider the increases and putting that back onto your CVT. So we can't subsidize that in Holly Township. And I believe that to be true of the northern townships, most likely as a whole, but I know specifically for my community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Kim Shalafo.
Hi, I'm Kim Shalafo, Treasurer of Southfield Township. After reading the committee packet and discussing it in our office and with other officials, we wondered, how did Equalization Department, when developing their budget, get so far behind that such a large increase is warranted? The Southfield Township Treasurer, Janet Mooney, and I met with our assessor, Alex McLeod, and Liz Bokamp, and asked for guidance regarding the increase, and we were met with no answers. We, too, budgeted for a 25% increase, not nearly enough to cover the increase that we found in the packet. We're not looking for a payment plan, a smoothing out. We're looking for a more reasonable increase. We've enjoyed a very agreeable working relationship with Equalization, offering up our office as a satellite location when assessors are in the field. This, as others have described, feels like a bit of a betrayal, and I hope you take it into consideration when voting today.
Thank you. Charlie? Commissioner Cavell, would you check and see if somebody else has signed up at the end? Okay, is there only one name there? Okay, Mike McGinnis.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much to this honorable body for the opportunity to speak, and thank you for all the collaboration and work that the city of Pontiac has been able to enjoy in recent years, including through the assessing services. It's been a critical, crucial cooperation, and we're grateful for that. I'm the city council president for the county seat, the city of Pontiac, and just learning about this earlier today, wanted to make sure I heard more straight from the horse's mouth about what gives and the implications of it. We have over 25,000 parcels in our city that would be impacted, so by far the largest in volume. And I'm concerned about the economy of scale when it comes to an 800 square foot or 900 square foot home on the residential streets of most of our neighborhoods. They are not in the multiple thousands of square feet. Are they charged the same rate as a 5,000 square foot home's assessing cost in a neighboring community, or in the rare exception when it might happen in our city, within our city walls as well? So I wanted to flag that, as well as the impact on the assessing for vacant parcels. We are riddled with vacant, pockmarked neighborhoods with many, many vacant parcels. After the aftermath of the Great Recession, many homes were demolished. And so what about the cost of assessing those properties? Would that be the same flat rate, if you will? So that's a strong concern as we begin to grapple with what this means for the implications and the impact. We recognize that there are many different municipalities that this great service has been provided for, and it has been a godsend for us. And I really want to thank the hardworking folks at Oakland County that have done this work. It's really made a difference. And we want to be able to, where it makes sense, continue that mutually beneficial relationship. It's very noteworthy because of the volume, the raw number of parcels that we're talking about. These are vestiges of historic subdividing of land when our city was first growing and being the lifeblood and the tax base of our great county. But we're talking about very small 1/10 of an acre parcels. And so it's very much different than if we're talking about multiple acres or a much larger footprint. And so I'm concerned about the practical implications and then the cost concerns that we would have to bear as a result. So I'll make a final plug to say I hope that it can be phased in if there needs to be some right sizing or recalibrating, that can be done so that way ours and other municipalities can absorb that blow in a more realistic way. And I look forward to learning more, and I'll take my seat. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. McGinnis. I see a hand up.
Sorry, Madam Chairwoman, I get a chance to sign in. My name is Joseph Ferrari. I've been Oxford Township Treasurer for 33 years. I've seen this. I've talked to Chairman Woodward. I've seen this go around the whole gamut. We used to have an assessing department back in '92. We had a contract with the county about '95, '96 because we found out that was a better way to go. I'm the first to admit I voted against it. I thought, oh my God, we're getting rid of local control. This isn't going to work. It ended up working the best. The reason why? Economies of scale. We've got a parcel that was sold during that time period. It was an old school. It was sold during that time period before the county took over. We had our local assessing. It's valued at roughly $66,000 taxable value. The real value is $414,000. We're fortunate that when Oakland County came over, they're able to take care of all this stuff. Our assessing department locally was good. Don't get me wrong, they're fine people. But there's only 3 of them. They can only capture so much. By having Oakland County there, they've done such a great job for us. And I think we also need to look at the counties. This isn't a contract situation. This is I look at if I'm selling you guys apples. Okay, you guys buy the apples. You also have an apple as well. You guys got Oakland County Transit, Oakland County Parks, HCMA, Oakland County General. It behooves you to make sure we do a good job. Not saying contractors won't do a good job. Not saying in-house won't do a good job. You know what we have. We know what we have here. You guys got economies of scale. We've had different assessors over the years. Jeff Patterson, great guy, retired. We had Leanne. Leanne Boucher's great person, now working in a different division. Now got Andrew Kramer. You have those economies of scale. If we had an in-house department or a contractor, would we have that? I don't think so. We need to look at this, making this work together, and finding a way to better serve all of our taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wants to speak in public comment?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the Finance Committee. My name is Joe Raker. I'm the city manager of Clawson. Clawson has been a client of the county's for 39 years. I've been the city manager there for 3. To the best of my knowledge, all 39 years have been a very positive relationship with the county. I'd like to speak and appeal to some common sense and some user friendliness in regards to the CVTs in the county. It's obvious that this was not communicated very forthright or in advance. The gradient of these increases is exceptionally steep, and there wasn't much collaboration. And so I asked that the committee consider voting no or keeping this in the committee and going back to the drawing board. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak in our first public comment? You can speak when we get to this item on the committee. Oh, you're not on the committee, right? I guess you can speak, sure. I forgot. We have a big committee. Yes.
Thank you, Chair Markham and the Finance Committee members. Municipalities in my district use the county, for assessment, and they are all more than a little concerned about this big jump in costs coming their way. You heard from Wixom, here directly. In this time, I've heard words like massive, dramatic, difficult, even the word ridiculous. But I've also heard a lot of understanding and earnest requests, for understanding and help and assistance in this issue, by the leaders that are simply looking for some lead time, some cooperation to help them absorb these increases. So I'm here. I would simply like to advocate for something more palatable for all the communities that have been surprised by these increases. Perhaps a reduced and smaller annual increase over a longer contract. I'm sure and I'm hopeful that we can work something out. I think the relationships are too important to not try. Of course, this is half the county that's dealing with this. Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Smiley. Anybody else? Okay, seeing no more commenters for our first public comment, I will close it at this time, and we will move on to our communications. I'll take a motion to receive and file, moved by Commissioner Long, supported by Commissioner Woodward. Any comments? Let's prompt the vote, please, on receiving and filing our communications.
Eight yeas, 0 nays.
Okay, motion carries. Next, we have department recommendations. Item A is Oak Video Conference Management Software Replacement. I need a motion. Moved by Commissioner Smith-Charles, supported by Commissioner Powell. Good morning. That's okay, you can go ahead that way because that's the way the camera is.
Okay.
But
Good.
It's weird to us to not
I
have
know.
you speaking to us, but go ahead.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I am here today to present a resolution asking that we make a change to an existing contract that we have with a vendor for the Oak Video software that helps run the cameras that are in the jails and in the courts. The current software product that is used is being discontinued by the vendor who provides that software. And so we've selected through our contract partner a different software product that would allow all of the same features and functionality to be available. This software is just simply the software that is used by the cameras itself to allow those general products like Zoom that are out in the market to be able to connect for the conferencing purposes. So this is a request for approval from the board to approve those changes. Any questions?
I'll open it up to the committee. Commissioner Cavell.
Thank you, Chair. How long have we had this contract with this firm?
So it is 5 years, and they are a reseller in the area that looks for the best pricing and product capability, and so we're buying off that contract.
But we've been with them for 5 years. Right?
Yes.
And so why are we doing a 5-year extension? This feels like a way to kind of undercut the 311 we have. I know that the technology, we've talked about this in committee before, the technology can be, you know.
Use
like
your microphone,
monopolistic and
please.
stuff.
Commissioner Cavell. I can't hear you.
Well, I just said the best line, so I'll say it again. As we've said before in committee, we know that these technology vendors can be monopolistic, so we don't have a lot to pick from. But why do a 5-year extension instead of a 311, like is the county policy?
Why are we doing 5 instead of 311 is the question. Just from a pricing perspective, it allows us to lock in the pricing now and avoid potential increases during those 1-in-1 years. We've been seeing increases in software year over year just in the market in general. So it felt cost advantageous to us to do it this way.
Thank you. At what point do we go back out to bid, though, just to make sure we're not having what we think is a good price eroded? Right, a decade of not going out to market, something would have changed.
Right. So in this case, because we're working through a third-party product provider, they are doing a pricing for us on competitive products in the market. And so we are looking at it as through this contracting process for the best pricing. But if we wanted to, at the end of this 5 years, take a second look at whether or not we're looking at this software through the right vendor, we could do that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Spiz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, ladies. My question is more on the technological side. If anybody here has watched some of the videos in the courthouse, some of them are archaic. So I'm glad to see you're upgrading the software, but are you upgrading the cameras at the same time? Because my concern is if the cameras are old and they're not digital, they're not high def, the software might not work with those cameras.
So we actually did a project last year, did a funding request last year to the board to go through and do an upgrade of the cameras, and they've been executing that process now. We can take a look and see if there's anything, if there's specific cameras that maybe got missed in that project proposal that we need to go back and touch.
We can talk offline on some
Okay,
of those,
yeah.
It was a pretty high profile case.
Okay.
The cameras I was speaking.
Okay, and depending on when, we may have done the replacement since then, because that project has just been wrapping up.
Thank you.
If I could add, sorry, there are actually multiple camera systems in the courtrooms as well. There's the court recording videos, and then this is our video arraignment system. So if you have the courtroom, the case, we would want to make sure that we're talking apples to apples. So.
Anybody else from the committee have any questions? Seeing none, let's go ahead and prompt the vote.
You have 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Next up, we have item 9A, fiscal year 2025 IT lobby and courthouse WWE. Let's see, West Wing elevator, is that it? Elevator buttons and control upgrades. Moved by Commissioner Smith-Charles, supported by Commissioner Spiz. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Misty Rates with Capital Planning and Design, manager with Facilities Management. And here today I have project manager with also Facilities Management, and he's associated with this project.
Stephen Foster. I'm a project manager for Oakland County. So the project we're requesting approval for is an IT elevator mod, the lobby elevator, as well as the courthouse, West Wing extension, button replacement, and controls replacement.
Anybody have any questions? Commissioner Spiz, of course
Thank
you
you, Madam
do.
Chair. When you say replacement, what does that mean? Are we doing a full replacement of all the hardware and wiring, or just upgrading buttons and switches?
The IT elevator is basically The structure and the cab remains, and we're replacing everything that from the hydraulic system to the sensors to the componentry, the buttons, etc. That's what's known as a full mod. The West Wing extension, it's purely the buttons and the controls behind it.
Anybody else? Okay, let's prompt the vote.
You have 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you.
Thank
Motion
you.
carries.
Thank you.
It'll be nice to have those elevators working faster. Okay, up next is item 10A, grant acceptance of the 2025 remonumentation and survey grant. Moved by Commissioner Spiz, supported by Commissioner Long. Mr. Miller?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, committee members. Clerk Brown was before Lago on this grant yesterday. I planned to be here today, but due to the hours, she sent me in her stead. This is the survey and remonumentation grant application. Oakland County's been participating for 30-some years. This is $172,709 this year is the state-approved amount that we get to qualify for this year. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Anybody have any questions? Seeing none, let's prompt the vote.
You have 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, next up, we have 3 items from the Public Health and Safety Committee. First one is item 11A, grant acceptance from the Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs for the 2025 Medical Marijuana Operation and Oversight Grant. Moved by Commissioner Spiz, supported by Commissioner Powell. Is there anybody from Health and Human Services to?
Yes, I'm on the camera.
Go ahead, floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon. This is Kate Guzman. I'm the health officer for the health division. We are requesting your approval to accept funding for our medical marijuana operation and oversight grant. The amount that we will be receiving is $432,000. It's a slight decrease from last year just based on the number of registry cards issued. This funding pays for lock boxes and lock bags, in addition to a public health awareness campaign.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Seeing none, let's prompt the vote.
You have 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have item 11B, the use of non-departmental general fund contingency for the 2025 Woodward Dream Cruise special event signage by the Road Commission for Oakland County. Moved by Commissioner Smith-Charles, supported by Commissioner Spiz. Good morning.
Good morning. This is weird. I hate having my back to
I
you,
know,
but
it's weird.
Good morning, everybody. Gabe here, Sheriff Fiscal Officer under Sheriff Tim Willis. So this is our annual appropriation for signage for the Woodward Dream Cruise. So the Sheriff's Office obtains a traffic control order, and then the Road Commission places the signs. So we get an estimate from them each year. This year, the not to exceed amount is $11,016.39.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Commissioner Cavell.
This might be an irrelevant, like insidery, like paperwork question. So, but if we do this every year and we know it's about what it's going to cost, why do we? And maybe this isn't you, maybe this is Brian, CFO. But why use a non-departmental general fund instead of just bake it into someone's budget?
Well,
Can
going
you
forward,
use your microphone again, Commissioner? We can't hear you. Okay. Yeah, that's much better, thank
Wow,
you.
this is real close. Okay. Just wondering why we don't just bake it into someone's budget, like road commission or sheriff.
That's the plan going forward. So historically, we've come here each year for an appropriation, but for 26 and beyond, that's our plan, so. And then hopefully we don't have to come back. We get the, we fall within the not-to-exceed amount, and then we won't have to come back for additional appropriation.
Thank you. Commissioner Spiz, did you have a question? I'm good, thank you. Okay. Anybody else? All right, let's prompt the vote, please.
You have 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Thanks very much. Next. I'm sorry? Yeah. Next up, we have item 11C, the use of forfeited funds. Moved by Commissioner Spiz, supported by Commissioner Powell.
Okay, so today we're requesting to use $286,400 from the Sheriff's Office Law Enforcement Enhancement Funds. It's a restricted fund for forfeiture, so we are requesting a list for equipment and training today.
Anybody have anything to add? Commissioner Cavell?
Yeah, can you hear me now? Okay,
Yes, we
good.
can hear you.
Okay, I saw that you're getting 13 replacement drones. How many of those were purchased and how many were donated? Because you're replacing what you have.
Right, well, maybe Brian knows, I'm not sure on that, but I do know that I'm not exactly the complete number of drones right now, but I do know that I think it's around 20, we're downsized, we're decommissioning those and replacing 13 new. So as far as donated, do we have any donated?
Yeah,
We don't
we have one
any
from
donated.
Oakland Township
Oh.
so we have one from Oakland Township, and that one's not being replaced. So these are just internal Sheriff's Office purchased ones.
Thank you. And then I'm going to vote no on this because we don't yet have a legitimate and comprehensive drone policy. We do have something on the website that says something about drones and privacy, but I'm not confident that that will stand up to the muster of recent Supreme Court cases about privacy and rights and drones and policing. I'm no on this until we figure out our exposure to litigation.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Smith-Charles.
Thank you. Along the same lines with regards to the drones, I was privy to conversations where it sounds like, some drones are observational drones, if you will, where they don't, maybe they don't have speakers or, incoming audio. They don't penetrate buildings and find the bad guy hiding in a corner somewhere. Do you know if these particular drones are, because I'm actually, no, let me not say that for the record. Let me just ask my question. Is simply, are these like with response, are they breaking into buildings to help people get found? Or are these more like surveillance so that you don't have to chase people down highways for safety and things like that?
Right, so.
And don't forget to use your mic.
I can give a
Don't
broad
forget-
overview of it.
Don't forget to use your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can give a broad overview of how the drones are used. I do have my expert here for that. But so you said something about breaking down doors. Like our drones do, they literally are smaller drones that they can fly obviously outside and sometimes inside. We use them inside for barricaded suspects at times. But all of our operations are on our the Sheriff's Office transparency dashboard. If you just Google that, every flight is logged on that. So all the video from that is there. So if anyone in the community is interested to see how we operate these drones, and obviously the Sheriff's Office has a policy on how which is following the law currently. But to say that the drones surveil or anything like that, no. Would we use that? We use them for targeted reasons. So call for service comes out, then we activate. We don't do flyovers. We don't do surveillance of our citizens or nothing remotely like that. And like I said, they're all of them are videoed and all of them are on the dashboard. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Powell.
I'm new.
That's okay.
Didn't get answered. When you was asking, is these drones also gonna be able to do the communication back and forth? Like,
Oh, I see.
as if y'all finding somebody, y'all searching for somebody, now somebody can speak to them and say, hey, this is the sheriff department, yada, yada, yada. Is that a capability of the new drones? Because I know that's a snippet of what she was talking about.
Commissioner, these drones are going to be used specifically for, the officers carry them in their car and they're rapidly deployed. Oftentimes, these drones are used for missing people. We do have dedicated drones for search and rescue operations. These are general purpose drones, so if, let's say, we just the other night deployed one in the city of Pontiac. We had an 11-year-old child having, with special needs, having a mental health crisis. Previously, we had located the child in the cemetery at his mother's gravesite. The family has a lot going on, and as we try to work through things, another call comes in. The child had run away a few days later. Patrol was able to get on scene. We're able to get a quick drone up. These are smaller drones. The problem with the drones are when we first purchased our drones with the budgets we had, those technology develops and those platforms, the frames, are always susceptible to weather. As new technology has developed, better airframes are available, and these drones will now last longer. We're at end of life on these, or 5-year drones, 5-year life, end of life type deal. We're going our 4th years in there. So this platform's a lot better. Technology has improved. But these are drones we can.
Can they communicate?
Yeah, they don't, this drone necessarily does not communicate. We do have smaller drones that we use for like confined space rescue, or we use them for if there was a tactical situation with the SWAT team, we can have a mic and talk back and forth. But these drones are for rapid deployment to get something in the air to try to find a walk away or maybe other issues that happen. Yep. Yep.
Thank you, Chair.
Any other commissioners? Seeing none, I will ask to prompt the vote.
You have 6 yeas, 1 nay.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Next up, we have item 12, which is the Board of Commissioner recommendations. 12A, support for the Hire Pontiac program. Moved by Commissioner Smith-Charles, supported by Commissioner Powell. You were supporting your measure for Pontiac special projects.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's your city.
Oh, so now I can talk.
So this item is one of our special projects. Who's going to speak to it?
Me.
Commissioner Powell.
And then I do have Mr. Head on the screen here to talk more about it if we have any other questions. But this is a dynamic event that, program rather, that helps our kids in the STEM space. And they also are a program that ended up losing donors. So Mr. Head came to ask if the commissioners can support. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we have supported in the past. But this is such a great program in the STEM space, something different and unique. And I'm just excited that they are a group in the city of Pontiac focusing in this area. And I just ask my colleagues to please support it, and it has been a success. And you can look at a lot of the other information. They sent the PowerPoint with all of their supporters in the past and things that they're doing. And I'll turn it over to, I guess, Chair, if you allow Mr. Head to say a few things, or if you want us to just Q&A for time, I don't know. I'll turn it over to you, but it's a great program, so.
Yeah, Mr. Head, why don't you give us a, minute and a half kind of summary of what your program does and.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I didn't see he's with Miss Weatherspoon as well, which is also his wife, but she runs this program as well.
Whoever wants to tell us about it, please do.
No. Madam Chair, thank you for your time, and to the board also, thank you for your time. We really believe in this program. We know that in Pontiac, students who go into STEM careers generally make 35 to 50% more throughout their career, and it really stands to get more students into the pipeline and expand the talent from that perspective for Oakland County. We're one of the largest engineering and STEM-based centers in the country. So we think it's an important step to make sure that students are exposed to STEM careers as well as to the corporations within our community, corporations such as GFL, Nowak and Frost, Out Construction, General Motors, Fanuc Robotics, that they get to spend time with their leadership and know more about those corporations and find themselves working there. This year we'll have 5 of our students graduating. 2 will be heading to Kettering, and both of those students more than likely will end up working as co-ops in Oakland County. So our goal is really to return our students to our county and make sure that they have an opportunity to be productive citizens as well as contributing members to their own cities, villages, or townships.
Thank you. Okay, anybody have any questions? Commissioner Spiz, followed by Commissioner Long.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple questions. First one, clarification. I believe in the resolution it says 10,000, but in the presentation it says 20. The number is 10. Okay. Second question I have, which was slightly answered here, as somebody that is in STEM himself and is a full supporter of this, I'd be interested in more details about the program. And you mentioned a key word there, a key school there for me, which is Kettering, because that's where I graduated from. And if you have students that are looking for co-ops, internships, or things like that, I might be able to help with that. So please reach out to me outside of this, and we can work on that, because that was one of my questions. But also in the presentation, you mentioned some firms, and I didn't see them on there as donors. Are they donors or are they not donors? Like Fanuc was one of the ones you mentioned. And then
yeah. Sorry, Fanuc is not a donor, but they're a partner in making sure that students have experiences in robotics.
All right. And I guess one other recommendation would be we should be going after more organizations like Fanuc to help donate to this, because it only helps them out. Because if they're going to help you by educating these individuals and also help with an internship or co-ops, they make out in the long run. So there's
Absolutely.
no reason I see those organizations shouldn't be donating a few dollars to you. And personally, I think this should be 100% supported by outside, not government, because I think it could self-sustain itself that way. But you need to get into those right organizations. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Spiz. Commissioner Powell.
So Spiz, Commissioner Spiz, am I hearing that you'll maybe help make some additional connections for them so they can kind of get away from government? Maybe? Okay, great. Mr. Head, that is Commissioner Spiz. Find his information on the website and make sure we contact Spiz to have a discussion. Thank you. Hold on. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Long.
Thank you. So along with what Commissioner Spiz was saying, so the total budget, I am going to support this, but the total budget's 10,000 and we're giving 10,000. So I would like to see, I see that it looks like on our write-up that the sponsorships, some of them dropped out. So in the future though, with these Board of Commissioners special projects, I like to see what we're giving some funding to the project, having some money into the project also. And I thought that we were supposed to. I see that they dropped out. So, I mean, I'm going to support this because I think it's important. But I do want to see if you bring this back next year, along with what Commissioner Spiz says, there should be some sponsorships and some money from other organizations besides just the county.
Yeah, and just to correct it, they did bring the sponsorship packet to us for 20.
Okay.
But we're only doing 10.
All right, but is that the total project cost?
The total project cost was 20.
Okay, so they're going to find.
Well, actually, I take that back. What is the total project cost, Dominique, for this whole entire project?
Yeah, the total project cost is $100,000 for the project.
Yeah. So it's 100. They fell short of, they're in the 20. He's confident that they can get the other 10, but we're just giving 10.
That's not in this write-up, so that makes sense. Thank
Yep,
you.
so thank you for that question, and thanks for that information,
Yeah, thank
Mr.
you. So
Head.
the total cost is 100,000, so we're giving 10,000. You lost some sponsorships that you had, and you needed that 10,000 to keep keep this going?
Yes.
Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else? Seeing no one, let's prompt the vote. I didn't get a prompt. Yeah.
You have 8 yeas, 0 nays.
Okay, motion carries. Next
Thank
up,
you.
we have item 12B, sponsorship of the 2025 Southfield 9th Annual Community Cup Challenge. Moved by Commissioner Smith-Charles, supported by Commissioner Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to make sure that Commissioner Taylor is added as a sponsor to this, just for the record. I also believe Shelley Freeman is on from City of Southfield Business and Economic Development Department, and I would like to I'd like to yield my time to Ms. Freeman.
Thank you.
Hello.
Go ahead, Ms. Freeman. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for the opportunity to request this sponsorship. The City of Southfield is moving into our 9th year of our Community Cup Challenge. It's a multi-week program where we bring together companies so that they have an opportunity to compete against each other in a fun and networking experience. As COVID had impacted many of our businesses and the opportunity for business people to come together, we've really tried to ramp up our experiences so that companies can have a better chance for networking amongst each other and within their own company. And so we are looking for support from the county commissioners in the amount of $10,000. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have regarding our event.
Thank you. Anybody? Commissioner Long?
Thank you. It says on the summary, I think it says two different things. On the summary, it says 10,000, and I think down on the write-up, it says 5. What are we asking for this? What are you asking for, Commissioner? I think I'm pretty sure I read it right one time about my 10,000 in our resolution, and then on the one part, it says, oh no, wait, Southfield's contributing 5 to 10. Are they 5? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So it says the Board of Commissioners is being asked to contribute 5 to support the event.
Oh, okay, thank
For
you.
the breakdown, and then on the top it says 10. So we need to clarify, is it 5 or 10? That's exactly, thank you.
Shelley, would you mind just sharing briefly your need for the financial ask?
Sure. I mean, the city pays for the entire event. We do not ask for any contributions from our business community at this time. But, we're open to $5,000, which would be much appreciated. Again, we've tried to enhance our networking programs. And so that does increase our cost for venues and the different materials that we need to support the event. We do fund the entire event ourselves. So the event costs $15,000. So, we're happy to request $5,000.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's good. So should we just make sure our summary had the same numbers?
Well, before we do that,
I'm having a hard time hearing.
Since there's 2 commissioners asking at 5, maybe 5 apiece, all I can do is ask. So at this juncture, I'd like to leave it at 10 and just see how the vote goes. And I'm hopeful that it'll pass. I don't think I've been here this year for any special projects. I can tell you Commissioner Taylor has yet to ask for anything this year. We're already in Q2. So I'm looking forward to the support of my of my commissioners in this endeavor.
So what I'm asking, what I'm hearing, just to be clear, is that you would like to adjust the amount to $10,000 and have the sponsorship be from both Southfield Commissioners. Correct.
Yes, essentially, yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, so that's a motion to amend the proposal from
Support.
5,000 to 10,000.
I'll support.
Okay. So we need to vote on the amendment.
Can I, on the amendment?
Commissioner Long?
So just on the amendment, I just want to point out then, just because I watch these things, so that's like 2/3 of the budget. If they're 15,000, then we're given 2/3 to fund this project. So just a point. So I don't know if we go that high normally, but.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Cavell?
Could I make a request that perhaps we keep it at 5 for now, but that between now and the board, we get some stuff to make sure this passes unanimously as a $10,000 request, just getting more information? Is that okay? Just like a friendly.
So we have an amendment for $10,000, and your suggestion would be that we keep it at 5, but make an adjustment in time for the, make an amendment at the board meeting. Okay, that's your suggestion. Commissioner Smith-Charles?
Yeah, just a little clarification here. The document as it stands now says motion to approve one-time 10K. So I don't really know that we need an amendment. The amendment would be to make it less. So, you know, Mr. Keys, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the write-up might have, yeah. So that's my thought, Madam Chair.
So the original ask was for 10.
Yes.
The write-up has an error under the proposed budget breakdown.
Okay, yep.
Has an error or a formatting, you know, issue.
Blame him.
So just to be clear, Madam Chair, there would not be a need for a motion to amend. So hopefully Commissioner Smith-Charles and Commissioner Powell will both be willing to withdraw that. We have a motion to adopt right now, and that would be at 10,000. If there's any other amendments needed, we could certainly accommodate.
Everybody clear? Clear. Commissioner Spiz?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have some questions. 5 or 10. But if it's 10, that makes up 2/3 of the $15,000 total. And if I understood correctly, the city of Southfield was going to fund the entire things themselves, and they're not asking for any other donations other than this one. Is that correct?
Ms. Freeman, were you able to hear Commissioner Spiz?
Yes, that is correct. We do appreciate any contribution that we can have towards this event. Again, the costs have continued to rise due to our desire to have more networking opportunities for the business community and bringing different options for them to engage. So we do ask our larger companies to participate in this event. And again, many of them are still working remotely. So when they're able to get together, they really enjoy the opportunity to spend that time together. It enhances the activity that's in our city, and it really engages the businesses. Many of them work together on different projects. And so these dollars will help to fund those activities. And yes, the city has been paying for it ourselves, but it would be wonderful to have some assistance. Thank you.
Thank you,
Point
Charlie.
of order. Commissioner Cavell, you're out of order. Thank you.
Yeah, and I guess just my point on that is, I can appreciate those comments, but I have a hard time with the county paying 2/3 for a community event in the city of Southfield, and the city of Southfield only paying 1/3. So if it was half, you might get me, right? I would probably vote for the 5,000, but I can't support the 10. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else? Commissioner Taylor?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge that over the last 9 years, we being the city of Southfield, has been working on this particular activity. It's been very well attended. It does bring businesses together. We call it our business-to-business introduction. It also brings the city and the city leaders together. The county is spoken of and represented. We do have information about what the county does. We also help bring businesses to a friendly competition, but it's also a lot of fun. We have team building, and we have even our city employees that participate in some of the activities. So it's a attended activity, and it also does a lot for the city. Most businesses look forward to it. It introduces some of our newer businesses to some of that's already been established in the city. So it's a very well-attended, needed, and most companies look forward to having it, actually. Over the last, when it was during COVID, they were asking for it. And Shelley I'm sorry, Shelley,
Yeah,
you could
absolutely.
speak to that if you want, but it really does, it is a very important activity, and we do, and that's one of the reasons why the city of Southfield was going ahead and paying for it, because it brought so much positivity to the city, and it helped not only the businesses, but also the employees as well. It's held on the front lawn a lot of times, and it's something wonderful for everybody to attend.
We also, if you don't mind that, we also have a large community contribution where people are giving back. And so we move from different activities. So one year we had a can collection. We've had cleanup programs. We did blessings in a backpack to help children that don't have an opportunity to have food over the weekends without their school lunches. So we selected different activity where we're supporting the health and welfare of our community as well.
Commissioner Cavell.
Could we call the vote? And if Commissioner Spiz chooses to not support funding small businesses in Oakland County, that's a prerogative.
I was getting ready to call the vote. We didn't really need that comment, so. Okay, let's prompt the vote.
You have 7 yeas, 1 nay.
Okay. Next up, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have item 12C, sponsorship of Pontiac Growing to Live Community Garden. Moved by Commissioner Powell, supported by Commissioner Smith-Charles.
I'll start discussion on this. So Mr. Carrington had to leave, he had to go to work. And I did ask him to brief us a little bit during public comments, so we all hear about this item on the agenda. I do know their total budget, I know it's not in here, but I do remember reading up on some other stuff with me communicating with him. It was either 30 or 40 grand. They're asking for 10, and what happened was one of their major donors ended up getting very ill. I think he now has cancer, if I'm not mistaken. He's not able to contribute due to medical bills and things racking up. And so that is why Carrington asked if we could assist with this program. I have visually and personally, physically been watching Mr. Carrington, and a lot of this actually he has done on his own for a few years. And now, he's starting to seek out support and stuff like that, along with other private donors that do give to this. So he does have other donations coming in. However, he's just asking us for 10 as well. In his overall budget, it was between 30 and 40. I do remember that. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Long.
I think this is for Mike. If that could be, so then when you read this, it says 10,000, you think the project's 10,000. So if in this write-up somehow we can get, if you knew, you might not know the total, 30 to 40,000 project, that would really help a lot of our meeting go much quicker if I saw the total project and what they're asking, because 25% to me is not unreasonable. That's what I try to do when I do request some. I would just kindly request that total be in here somewhere.
Yeah.
We normally find it out, but it just takes us more, you go in thinking maybe you're gonna vote no, and then you vote yes. But when you
maybe
find
it
out,
could be an answer that is a question now on our, because we do send them questions, And I know it may be asked,
Yeah,
but
and
now
so
we just
just to
need to
answer, if I
reflect
remember
it.
that one correctly, they submitted an actual PDF proposal as well, so we maybe not have copied that over into the Google form, so I'll take a double check on that and make sure by full board, the full amount is.
Right, and you might have not got it. I don't know if you got it or not, but when, you know, if we get it or if we don't get it, just put the total project cost. I like that, because then you can vote on your, you know, what they're asking, more reasonable. Thank you.
Well, just to support Long's question, that is something we always kind of compare. We've been talking about that anyway to kind of, and that's like a common question we do ask. So I think it's a great thing that we add so that we can see that beforehand too, so.
Good idea. Commissioner Spiz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would also like to request the total number of expected donors or targeted donors in there. Because, I mean, if it's just Oakland County and the community, my first question would be why, right? Why aren't we going out and trying to get more donors for all these? You may be, you know, maybe Oakland County's, you know, a little bit more open with doing some of these than some of the businesses are. Depends on the business environment, so to speak, for Charlie. But I'd like to see that number, because I'd like to see them going out and trying to drive more, because maybe they get more money than what they're asking for, which would be great to see.
Totally agree.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Well, I hope you all do consider supporting this. It is a great program in one of our communities on our, well, really a whole side of north side of town. He's doing a great thing with this, so thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Barton?
Yes.
Yeah, and if I could just add, we can certainly get that information, Commissioner Spiz. That's something we always include in the follow-up report. We can also try to include it in here. If you were reading the item summary, I believe it's the GM Housing Trust Association that used to be the donor, and once they found that donor was no longer able to support them, they reached out to Commissioner Powell and submitted the project program. So, you know, really, when we get to this phase right now today, they're still actively trying to get those big donors. And so maybe when they submitted this, they didn't really have an actual list. They could tell you their hopes and their dreams, but they didn't, you know, actually tell us who would be contributing. But we do require that in the contract for the follow-up report. So I will follow up and see if we can get some more information included in this.
Commissioner Powell.
But we can also ask the question of potential donors, even people that they are potentially going after, because that'll help our decisions as well. Thanks.
Okay. Anybody else? Let's prompt the vote.
You have 8 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, next. Commissioner, we're trying to get through here. That is all of the Board of Commissioner recommendations. We're going to move on to item 13, the management and budget recommendations, starting with item 13A, fiscal year 2024 deficit elimination plan, moved by Commissioner Smith-Charles, supported by Commissioner Cavell. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Please introduce yourselves.
Good afternoon. I am Shannon Lee, the Fiscal Services Officer, and I have with me Sean Phelps, one of our chiefs in Fiscal Services, and Laura Randall, who is our Grants Manager. So I'm presenting to you the deficit elimination plan for the year ended 9/30/2024. We had 6 funds that the state of Michigan is requiring us to put in a deficit elimination plan. 3 of the funds are grant special revenue related, and that is due to timing issues of when we have the expenses incurred versus when we can expect the money to be in our hands. Typically speaking, that's lagged by 2 to 3 months, and we can't claim the revenue at that point in time if we don't have it on hand to be used at the end of the fiscal year. The other funds in the plan are for assessment-based and for the special projects. And you'll see on the plan that for the capital improvements project, this is due to conversion factors from our prior fiscal system, and we are in the process of trying to close out some of those projects between 2 funds. So the net effect is sitting in one of the funds and needed to be transferred over. That has been done in the cleanup factors in 2025. Some of it was done in 24, the rest was done in 25. And then there's lake levels and the drain construction. Those are assessments that we're limited on how much we can assess to the communities at a given point in time versus how much we incur. So you'll see that there's a plan in place for the lake levels, 146. Last year, we had 2 funds that were impacting the deficit. One of those was cleaned up in 2024, and in 2025, the other one will also be cleared out. Good. Any questions?
Okay. Start with Commissioner Spiz, followed by Commissioner Cavell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You mentioned conversion factor. Maybe
Yes.
outside of this, you could help me understand what you mean by that?
Conversion factors, we just recently switched financial systems. And so as we're closing out some of these projects, they're sitting in, Sean might be able to explain it a little bit better, but they're sitting in one fund and the funding is in another fund, so we're having to get that cleaned up, and that's been done as of today, I believe. I believe
All
that
right, so it's more of where the money's been allocated or sitting and moving it from one fund to another versus.
Correct.
Okay. When you say conversion factor, I'm thinking you're only taking 90% of this for whatever reason.
No, it's between funds and
My
our
math-
records.
My math head kicks in. And the other question I had, which was a little confusing to me on the capital projects fund there for the building improvement for the 632,000. If you looked at the report that was in communications, there was multiple programs in there where we didn't spend all that money. And my guess is that it gets allocated back into that fund if it's not spent, so just.
It's on the fund as a whole was at a deficit, so some of the projects, netted down to the 632. It was multiple projects that went into that, so do you want to speak to that a little?
Yeah, they had a lot of projects to close, and so they've been working on that diligently, and they're just trying to finish all that up, and that will clear this entire thing up.
Okay, so if I heard that correctly, what you're saying, there's still some projects that are open, they haven't been formally closed. So if there was any extra funds that were part of that project, they haven't been rolled back into the account yet, which will cover that.
Correct.
Great, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Commissioner Cavell.
Thank you, Chair. When we're looking at, for example, Friend of the Court, a lot of their stuff is reimbursements with, because they're working on from a grant from the state and federal government. And then one of the later items on our agenda is the potential threats to our state and federal grants. Do any of these have, or do you in fiscal have any flags on any of these as they're in deficit because of paperwork, reimbursement, and then maybe someone's going to send us a letter like we've been starting to get about grants not being fulfilled or things being done?
So for the Friend of the Court one, most of that funding, I believe, is all through the state. And we had questioned initially, is any of Friend of the Court impacted by the federal at all? And from what we had found, it is not. The one area on here that could definitely be impacted would be workforce development. Those tend to be state and federal funding, but I don't know that we've received any kind of information yet impacting those, but you might be able to speak to that.
I've not heard from workforce development if any of their grants are impacted. That might come up in the next year. I think their fiscal year 25 grants are okay. It'll be fiscal year 26, we might see reductions.
Okay. Thank you. That's all. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Cavell. If there's nobody else, let's prompt the vote.
You have 8 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank
Okay,
you very
motion
much.
carries. Thank you. Next up, we have the item that everybody's really interested in. That's item 13B, establishment of the standard contract and rates for real and personal property assessment administration services for Oakland County communities. Moved by Commissioner Woodward, supported by Commissioner Powell. Okay, and Commissioner Hoffman, I understand you're here and wanted to make a comment, so we're going to let you comment as if it's public comment.
Thank you, Chairman Markham. We all know that everything in life is about percentages, and we all know the impacts of inflation and how upset we are when inflation gets 10, 12, or 15%. But these rate increases are too much too fast. I represent a rural district in the county. Based on population, my district is 200 square miles. These increases of over 100%, 150% over 3 years will impact over 70% of my district. I think there's got to be a kinder, gentler way to do this, because I do acknowledge the customer always pays. But again, some of this information came to us not in the most rapid form. I mean, a lot of people didn't even know about it, and the same thing happened with the sheriff contract. So for those reasons, I'm not in favor of these increases the way they're proposed right now, because it's going to, just imagine for a minute if they raised your house insurance 100, 150%, or you went to the gas station instead of $3, it's now $7.50. We'd all be outraged. And these my communities are, they're very upset about this, and they have limited funds, and I just don't think this is a good way to treat our customers. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay. I am going to, let's see, Mr. Leffler, do you have a presentation for us, or do you want to speak to this discussion?
Deja vu. Hi. It's Brian Leffler, CFO, Michael Lohmeyer, Chief of Equalization, or Equalization Officer. So, first of all, I took notes during much of your comments. The first thing I want to address is communication. So, for those of you, I started March 4th of last year, and so I've been working with the existing people that are here. Michael Lohmeyer was here before me, and trying to make sure that what's next in terms of coming for what he has to do in his job, but also I have to comply with board resolutions and board policies. So first of all, in doing this project, August 17th, 2023, there was a list of communities that were going to be entering into 1-year or 2-year contracts with the assessing division of equalization. And at that time, there was essentially general inflationary increases of 4%, so that the county, and I'm quoting what was in the summary, so that the county can perform a comprehensive assessment of services provided to these local units of government and ensure that appropriate rates are charged on a uniform basis prior to entering into 3-year agreements beginning in 2025. So for you, of all these communities, one of the things, and I do want to make sure that there was a memo that was prepared, and there were 6 exhibits. Exhibit B, or Bravo, talked about what all of your rate per parcels were, and it was not on a uniform basis. Some of them are more residential, minor homestead, some are commercial. What that says, though, in light of what the board resolution said, you are all being charged different rates. That's not uniform. So I'm just reading what's here. The second thing is, when you go also to Exhibit A, one of the things that we have here is a team of professionals that are essentially have different level of classifications and certifications, which is essentially, it's like a team of assessors or assessing services that are going to address all your needs at your individual local levels. Whether or not you're all the way up in Orion Township and you got a GM plant, City of Pontiac, Huntington Woods, you all have different types of parcels, but the way that it's, quote, managed is by essentially matching the type of service, or i.e. the people that we have into your communities. The second thing I want to talk about is that in the contract, which is another exhibit, as you're thinking about going to and addressing the quality of services, I think what I heard in working with Mr. Lohmeyer over the last year and a half, yes, we go way above and beyond what you may get from a third party. For example, the team here actually works with you all the way through all these appeals through the Michigan Tax Tribunal. That's part of the rate per parcel. You go to a third party, they're going to charge you anywhere from $220 per hour outside of what they're going to charge you for those rate per parcels. And you could talk to a fellow community about proposals that they received. So I think I know that what we do at Oakland County is above and beyond for that. And also too is respect of the workers that we have. And again, I'm not here to union bust or be retaliatory. To me, in Exhibit A, as you saw on the top, is that I'm trying to manage, since I spent 38 years working with local units of government prior to this, is how you have to manage your budgets. But first of all, the components of it is that there are costs that are essentially associated with that, i.e. the people. And the people do right now, I do know that they are scheduled to get increases in their base pay. But what's not in there is that there's also going to be steps. We're going to take that, as a county, we're going to take that risk. We are going to give step increases to our employees, but we're going to absorb that. I don't know what those are going to be. Also, dealing with the indirect costs, I definitely wanted to make sure that we address your concerns. I go to a third party. Those indirect costs are also in the sheriff's contracts as well. There's certain things that we provide that I have to essentially identify. So other local units of government may have an assessing budget or a dollar amount in their audit or ACFR for assessing services that I looked at. I don't know how they charge for the space, for the phones, and how that's covered internally. All I just know is that it says one level, assessing, and then I just was thinking about, okay, what's that cost per parcel? For the non-Oakland County served jurisdiction, the average rate that your fellow cities and townships are paying is $33.50 right now. We did the research, we looked at that. The other thing I do want to say about the communication is that given the fact that off the heels of the sheriff's contract of what happened with that, working proactively with Mr. Lohmeyer and his team, there was a memo that was sent to the supervisors and the mayors on March 3rd that laid out the plan of bringing this information to this board. I know it said April 2nd was when we were supposed to be here. I was asked to push it back to this meeting today. I was ready a month ago, but I was asked to push it back. So that's why you're here. Now, in terms of the information that you have, I think I laid it out pretty well in terms of how the components are, in terms of salary or wages, the benefits that we pay. We're proud of our benefits we pay. We also have to deal with other costs, indirect costs, which I gave you the source of the Maximus study, which is used throughout the county. And the last thing I had here is that there are two options. I mean, the option the first year, for some of you, it's going to be significant on a uniform basis. I admit it, I know. That's why we put together a smoothing. And the 3-year agreement is something that we can match with essentially what I would know what is the cost associated with the personnel that are going to provide that. But I do know that your contracts right now expire June 30th. I don't know how we can continue to, I've talked to Mr. Lohmeyer, I've talked to the Corp Council. It's going to be up to the board and you to decide what you want to do forward, but I'd be more than happy. It's like, this is not an easy consideration of saying, this is not a money grab. This is nothing that we are going to ask you to say, yeah, we're trying to increase money to the county's coffers. I have just been charged with saying, what is the cost of providing these services? I'm giving the information to the Board of Commissioners, and this is what the math is. And I don't mean to sound so non-emotional about it. It would be the same thing as if I was on the other side trying to figure out, how do I budget this? So other than if there's going to be other questions from the Board of Commissioners of the materials that were essentially provided to you, and then also that memo that was a communication memo that's dated March 3rd, it was part of the civic clerk, just so that people knew we were trying to be proactive and letting know what was happening in the communities. In terms of how you found out this last week, I don't know what else you had asked us to do. I was putting together something forward. I thought that plan was being communicated out. So if there's a question from any of the members of the committee here, I'd be more than happy to answer those questions.
Okay. I'm going to open it up to the commissioners. I saw Commissioner Long's hand first. If you guys would use the request to speak button, that would help me.
I did.
You're not showing up for me, but I will.
I did this time. Did. Am I first?
Yeah, you can go
Okay.
first, and
All right,
Commissioner
thank you.
Cavell will be next.
Well, I did request to speak.
I'm not seeing it, so.
Okay, well, I'll go first. Charlie says I'm not first, but sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, Charlie, you're gonna yield? Okay, all right, thank you,
My
Charlie.
computer's not showing it.
All right, mine is not either. So, so I agree that Oakland County provides excellent assessing services to the community. I think all the locals here agree also. I just think this proposal, these increases are, in lack of another word, outrageous. I mean, we heard that the CVTs, a lot of them budgeted for 25% increases, which is huge. I applaud you for, putting that in your budget, because I think that's a huge increase to budget for. So my local municipalities did know, because after the sheriff contract, I let them know that the assessing contracts were gonna go up. So they did know, mine were all informed from me, so I don't know what kind of communications other municipalities got, but I did let my supervisors and managers know. And so Commerce Township Supervisor has went out for bids, and Chairman Woodward knows this, and he went out for bids and got 3 bids already in, so he was proactive on doing this before the county got their rate out. And he surprisingly did get 1 bid, and I don't know, we can say the quality of the service, I agree, we don't know. But he did get 1 bid that was less than what he's paying now with the county. So I did want to put that out there. So that is a huge issue. So I'm concerned out of the 32 communities that we're going to lose a lot of them. And then I do believe that would lead to employee cuts, obviously, because if we don't have the work in the assessing department or equalization department for these employees of ours, they could be cut their jobs too if we don't get all these 32 communities back in. So there is some repercussions for our employees with these rates also. I get it. I don't get indirect costs being 18.15% no matter what kind of methodology we use. I think that's crazy. So I am not going to support it. I get that we don't want to subsidize everything for our local municipalities, but you know what? Oakland County, we're here to provide a service, and a lot of them have been here a long time with us for the assessing, and to government, it isn't the same as business because we're providing a service. The communities pay a millage for services, the 4.1, what is it, or is it not 4 anymore, it's 3?
3.9, 3.96.
Down, yes, it's down since, it's down. So we have that millage that they pay into, and I don't know, if we subsidize a little bit for some of the stuff, I mean, I think over years, if we forecast this, I get that you did an ease in, I still think it's kind of hard for these communities with the ease, or in the smoothing, you called it. I still think that's a little difficult for the smaller communities and a lot of the larger communities too. The smaller communities may use the sheriff, so they got hit with that already, in the dispatch, and then now it's gonna be the assessing, so I hear them. And I just don't support these rates. I just wish we could do a smaller I mean, even 25% I thought was huge and they budgeted for. So at this time, I'm not going to support this proposal, and I'll let someone else speak. Since
So
you let me yield.
may I say something? I saw Commerce Township's bid, and that the reason I want to say is that they had a fixed fee. Granted, it's a less dollars per parcel, but for going to the tax tribunal, the rate, hourly rate is $220 per hour. So the other thing though too is, on one of the bids, they also talked about different types of level of personnel that they had, if they had to go through the assessing process. Their rates are still higher than what's shown in the hourly rates that are essentially shown in the last exhibit here. So in other words, the county's hourly rates by the type of person, like an appraiser aide or a certain type of level, is less than what the private sector is charging. So there's that. The second thing on the issue of the jobs, I'm going to encourage that the assessing division goes to the other local units of government that are paying more per, if they want to collaborate. Some of them are as high as $40 per parcel in their budgets. So, there's going to have to be that approach of like, okay, we can certainly contact them. We know who they are, but we're going to have to address that in terms of so I'm not here to say we're going to have to change our job the employment factor, but the point though is we're going to have to say, well, community X, we can offer you this at this level. And by the way, here's the 3-year contract of the rates that you can select, either the initial or in this case, the smooth. So, thank you.
Okay, next up, Commissioner Cabell.
Thank you, Chair. Everyone can hear me, right? Yes. Okay. So I just want to lift up, put credit where credit is due. I just want to say first, I trust Brian's math, right? Like, he did give us a real memo with real costs, and indirect costs are real. And that is good math. And what he just said about the Commerce Township bid as an example incorporates all of his math and his team's math. So I trust Brian's math. I also want to give a shout out to Michael and his team, because as I was, getting calls and doing homework on this, I went to the equalization website and found out that they got the 2024 Distinguished Assessment Jurisdiction Award. So, right, I think what's really important to note here is no one is arguing with the quality of what Oakland County provides, and has been lifted up in the public comment. There is a downside to not having quality assessing, which includes missing monies and bad dealings. So just want to lift that up. I also want to say, this is how it's supposed to work, right? This is democracy at work. So I know we're all amped up, but this is not the ideal form of communication, but it is us all figuring out an answer. Okay, there's the preamble. Okay, the couple things I wanted to say. First, I think at least when talking to our communities, and I see you, Bob. Shout out Huntington Woods. Ethan did a great job. So, yep, okay. We understand costs go up over time. We understand what a subsidy is, and we understand the benefit of a government service, especially to another government. So I think what I've been hearing from communities that I represent, and Kim, who I saw at Easter, I don't represent Southfield Township, but we understand the cost is the cost. But if we don't communicate, and this isn't a knock on Brian or Michael or anyone, but just the simple fact that enough people showed up here today, bothered and pissed and feeling betrayed and uncommunicated with, to let us know that they're bothered and pissed, that something in communication was not adequate. Maybe that's their fault, maybe that's our fault. That's not the point. The point is, everyone's mad, and I don't think we have to be, because people respect Oakland County's quality, and they understand that costs go up. So what I worry is people are going to make rash decisions to then try and get in with a private RFP and then get swindled on the back end, right? Your communities, you're going to go get the cheaper bid, and then someone's going to have a tax appeal. It's going to cost you $250, $220 an hour, and that'll take however long it takes, and you won't be in control of that. And that'll all be because of this lack of feeling of respect and being listened to that you're feeling right now. So with that in mind, I would like to suggest for conversation, or if interested after everyone's done talking, perhaps we have those conversations. Maybe we just table this for 6 months, continuing the rates as they are, and then, okay. But then the cost is going to be the cost. But 6 months of communicating, 6 months of figuring it out, 6 months of maybe you go RFP and you figure out that the deal isn't as good as you thought it was, or you figure out the quality isn't as good as it was, but at least you have a full, fair accounting of what it is you're looking at, instead of getting something 30, 60, 90 days before you have to do something, and all of you talking about your budgets being baked already. Understand that totally. So, well, I think discussion now, let's talk about tabling if it comes up, because I know other people want to talk. But that's my thought. Table for 6 months, and then do this right. And again, it's not these guys' fault. Okay? All right.
Yeah, it's not, you don't have a contract.
So, Mr. Leffler, Council President Michael McGinnis was here and he answered a question. And I know you just gave us a lengthy, presentation. You may have incorporated that answer, but can you break that question? Can you answer that question solely just to itself? And basically, that was the comparison between 800 square foot home, 5,000 square foot home. I don't, this is something very complex to me, but can you just break that down so we have that on record as being answered? And then I have another question after that.
Sure. The question, just to make sure everybody understands, is that if you have an 800 square foot home or versus, say, a 5,000 square foot home, different type of commercial property, the way that by having a uniform rate per parcel is the type of folks that we have inside the assessing division is based on the type, essentially the portfolio. I look at it as like a portfolio of properties, which includes Pontiac, which includes, say, Huntington Woods, which could include Holly or things like that in terms of the time. So, and also too, other than the level of the type of assessor that, as you can imagine, I know that in the city of Southfield, they had to get, I'm trying to think, was it 3 and another level 4, and the challenge of that. I mean, we have those folks, so essentially there is resources inside to do that. But I think it was looking at, based on the community, the right type of person is going out, so that it's part of everybody is benefiting from the shared type of personnel that are inside the assessing. Okay. I'd like to talk about going back to your 6-month issue, and I know Michael is why and I apologize, I was listening to what Mike was saying, but the timing of it is like when your assessment is going to be finalized is as of December 31st. So there's going to be a lot of work that has to happen July, August, September, October, November. I mean, this department would essentially be doing a lot of work to be ready to have what's the value of someone's parcel by December 31st. They switch course on the county. How do we value that cost? So I'm going to say, if the board decides or you have a motion to wait for 6 months, the point is that there's being work done within the community to meet statutory guidelines of making sure that these parcels are valued as of essentially December 31st. So I just want to make sure that, and the thing is that if there's work, I think we're just going to have to, you as the board members are going to have to determine how to address that situation. I just want to make sure that there's reason. And the reason that these contracts are not like the sheriff's contracts on January 1 to December 31st, this is kind of a natural break-even point of July 1, because a lot of tax bills go out as of that date, okay? Which also includes the 1% tax administration fee on these bills as well, which is part of a revenue. I mean, we're getting ready to submit the county's L4029. How much did our tax base increase countywide? I think it was almost 5.5% overall.
There's also a difficulty with, in November, December, turning over a role to somebody who can't perhaps attest to that fact that they can state that they supervised the preparation of that role January, February. So
I appreciate.
And this is an audit year. What we do for 26 is the audit year we're going into for our county audit. by the state.
Okay, but I appreciate the
So-
thought. I think it's,
6 months is just.
I just want to make sure everybody sees both sides of the comprehensive, because there is also a value to, as others have said, the value of having an accurate tax roll.
Yeah, the 6 month is just too long. That's where we ran into problems before. That's just, you take it into September, October, November, it's too long.
Okay, thank you.
And then I had another question.
Sorry. I apologize.
Nope, you're fine. So thank you for that. I hope Mike McGinnis is watching, but if not, I'll let him know to go back and track your statement. If he have any other questions, he can contact you directly. My second question is, the smooths, the smoothing rate, right? Is that like do we gotta pick one of the ones as commissioners, or is that what you're offering to municipalities as to how they wanna do the smooth or the initial? Or am I just missing something?
No, so the way this proposed contract was addressed is that there's 2 columns in the contract, but also it's Exhibit C in your packet, is that the initial cost is if you decided to say, I'll take 100% of the increase in this first year of the contract, that's what it is. In year 2, it's 4% approximately, and in year 3, it's a 5% increase. Or in Exhibit C, if the local unit of government just calls us fiscal services, who does the billing on this, says, I want to use the smooth option, then they tell us what to do, what payment plan they want. It's very similar to the amendment number 1 to the sheriff's contract, is that some are just going to say, I'm going to stick with the original rate. Some of them are adopting amendment 1, and they have already contacted fiscal services to say, I'd like to do they call it the deferred payment plan on the sheriff's contract. So it is up to the local unit of government to choose either methodology.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted you to break that down because I thought that's what basically that was, giving them a second option like we did with the sheriff's department. And from my understanding, a lot of the municipalities did any of them even take up that second option?
Yes, I'm actually, right now, since your last board meeting, the sheriff's office has been sending out 12 amendments out.
Thank you.
Of the 12 communities, I've already heard from 3 that have already returned back their signed version of like, we want to go and change it.
Got it.
And then also, if you recall in your amendment, we went retroactive all the way back to January 1 of this calendar year to essentially the deferred amount that would be paid in year 3.
So I just wanted to go on record that we are in that phase. We gave that second option. Some of the municipalities took that second option to help in this situation, because it is a tough situation, but the rates is the rates. And then I also want to say, just by me representing Pontiac hands is tied, kind of, sort of. Our situation is a little different because internal, they can't take on such a project and trying to do their own equalization. So at this point, I've been encouraging them to talk to you about the smoothing option because the rate is the rate, right? So I just want to go on record with that too, because I did talk to both the pro tem and the president just to kind of feel where they were at with things with this. So thank you very much.
I learned my lesson. So that's why
we all did. Thank you.
Well, but I know I learned less. That's why since we put together this as an option for your consideration.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Let me go back to my page here. Okay, you're finished, right, Commissioner Powell? Commissioner Spiz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Michael and Brian, for being here, and don't take my comments as personal. They're not.
No, I was hoping
you guys were following direction, right? Yeah. Which is part of my problem, right? This is the 4th time now that we've had a room full of people complaining about something that we as a county are doing and that we're potentially affecting employees of this county. 4th time in 6 months. And, looking at these numbers, you can understand why they're upset in this room, right? And part of my issue is, again, this is not at you guys, is how could you come in here and present this and think it's going to go over well? I know you were directed to do it, so don't take this personally. I look at the executive in this matter, because he's the one directing you to do this, right? To bring this in front of the Board of Commissioners for review and potential approval. But coming in for 100% increase in a fee, no matter what the past was, to me is something that, any executive would bark at and say, what are we doing? How could you bring that in front of a community and or a business saying, okay, I need a 100% increase? Some examples used on your insurance rates. You could use any example in the world. If you increase it by 100%, what are you going to do? You're going to leave. You're going to go look somewhere else, guaranteed, right? Which now affects our employees. So to me, I can't understand the thought process to even present that to us. I can't even believe the thought process we are even considering approving this today. That blows my mind, because it's gonna hurt the people that we've partnered with for decades. Decades. And some of their comments are correct. Do we still want to be partners, or don't we want to be partners? And some of the things we're doing, and this is just one of many, as I said, it doesn't seem like we want to be partners with our community, which is frustrating, which goes against what Executive Coulter touts all the time, right? What is this statement? Always moving forward, right? Together. This doesn't seem very together to me at all. So with that, I'd like to make an amendment, and I think it's on your tablet. My amendment is to change the rates for fiscal year 25 to $21 per parcel, because Brian, I heard you want to try to bring everybody more in line versus having 32 different numbers. I can respect that and understand that. So for 2025, $21 per parcel. For 2026, $23 per parcel. 2027, $25 per parcel. And if the communities are already paying a higher rate today, because some are, they will see a 4% increase per year. So if you're paying over $21 this year, you will continue to pay that plus 4%. If in 2026 you're paying over $23 per parcel, you'll continue to pay that plus the 4%, right? And then in 2027, the same, at 25 plus the 4%. So with that, that's my amendment. That's my motion for my amendment.
Do we have a second? Supported by Commissioner Long. Do we vote on the amendment before we go forward?
Debate.
And what
We're going to
Commissioner?
debate the amendment? Okay. Commissioner Cavell.
I hear you and I see you, Mike, Commissioner Spiz, with these rates, but I do think that, being the guy trying to kick the can down the road 6 months, this does end up kicking the can down the road 3 years. And that feels like then they'll come back and be like, it's $50 per parcel. We were paying $28 a parcel. This is even worse than we thought. So I respect and appreciate what you're saying, but if I could, maybe up for discussion, especially in light of what we heard in response to the 6-month thing, is perhaps a 4% continuation of what we have for 9 or 12 months, so that, again, communities can feel seen and heard and also negotiate appropriately with their budgets. The timing works out for them better. They're able to plan ahead. And then, 4% 1-year continuance or 9-month continuance is something I would say perhaps as an adjustment. Okay. Okay, deal.
Anybody else? Commissioner Woodward.
Okay, I've been around for quite a while. This might be one of the most fiscally irresponsible things ever proposed, to arbitrarily come up with these numbers in the air. This county is in our fiscal health position because we put fiscal responsibility paramount, and we've been able to do that and fund incredible services. I think it's very important is just talk math here. The cost to provide this service, and it is for dollar for value, it's the best service. It's the most qualified team to do that. It goes far and above and beyond what the private sector would do. It's I have full confidence in our team. The cost of that is $6.7 million. The current contracts are bringing in $3.9 million. There was a massive disconnect here, and I heard, I think during public comments, some comments, well, how did this get all out of whack? Oh, I know how it got out of whack, and we have a responsibility to put it back in whack. So it is jarring to me that, a commissioner so brazenly said, well, I don't care what the math is. I don't care what our labor costs are. I don't care what our, the expenses for providing the service and the product are. We're just not, people aren't gonna pay that. While at the same time, the other half of the communities across Oakland County are paying that and more. It's just, I think it's unfair, it's irresponsible, and there's a better way to do that. And the better way is go through this process. And I heard through the last, and it's not 4, it's 3. That's the 3rd time. It's not 4, it's 3. We went through this process, and it was always, we don't know how these numbers came together. Well, now we've got so much information, and now people are picking like, well, I don't care about that. And then this conversation about we didn't know this was happening. As a board, and I want to the sponsor of this amendment directed, as a board, 3 years ago, we said, hello, department, and the administration, bring back in the next contract that's expiring June 30th, uniform rates. It's a better way to do that. We can account for the costs appropriately. It's fully transparent. These are the things that go into it. Now, people want to say, well, that's outrageous, that's ridiculous. I think my homeowner's insurance is outrageous. My homeowner's insurance came to me and said, this is what it is. And I'm like, I don't want to pay that. I do have an option to shop around, and I did. And it turns out that my outrageous homeowner insurance rate is still cheaper than what the other options were. A local government has a fiscal responsibility themselves to be able to deliver the best product at the right price that can be afforded. And so and Commissioner Long is absolutely right that she and I did talk, was aware about the RFP, I also reached out to the supervisor. We got the bids that came in there, and I think it's very appealing. There's one example in which there's a community that does, that looking at what they spend on assessing, paying upwards of $50 a parcel, and was willing to charge Commerce $17 a parcel. I would be like, if I was a local community, why am I paying so much for something? And then you add in all the extras, and that's why math is important. You need to take stock and look at what is the cost to defend these assessments, and before you jump and say, oh, I got the sticker price, it's $17, but on the back end, you're going to pay a surcharge in effect of 50% more. I think every community should be looking at this. We need to be looking at this on a regular basis. And frankly, the communities that are paying more per parcel should be looking at this. And then they come to conclusion about what these rates are, which I want to remind everyone. I heard the number, the comment from an official of money grab. It's damn right insulting. Because this is the cost. It is illegal for us to make a profit on this. This is just trying to cover the cost for this service, a service that we're proud to take on the risk, as Mr. Leffler talked about, that we are absorbing some risk because of it. We can't predict in the future what the appropriate steps are going to be. So coming to that point, the amendment, I encourage people to vote down because it is reckless, it's fiscally irresponsible. The smooth rate proposal that's out there, I feel is absolutely reasonable and also comes with risk to the county. We are in essence fronting and subsidizing for a balance of 2 years, nearly $1 million, over the total to get this right, which we wouldn't actually get this ship right until the end of the 3-year contract. So, I would argue that is a demonstration of going through a lot of these previous agreements. The last point, and I just want to say, that from communication, we didn't know this was happening. These were 3-year contracts. As a board, we've talked about this. We talked about this 3 years ago, and everyone in this room was part of that conversation. Most of us were part of that conversation, and we, the board, directed the department and the administration to propose rates, and as a board, it's on us to set rates. And so fiscal responsibility, math, and these rates are not unreasonable when you look at the private market and you look at what every other community is doing. So we do value the partnership. This is value. To get the value that as a county, we want to and will provide to any community that wants it in a uniform way, costs $6.7 million annually. Like that is like, that's what it costs. And I think it's unfair to the other half of the county to say, yeah, never mind, you don't have to pay what the real cost is. And so I would encourage commissioners to reject this amendment.
Okay. Any other discussion on the amendment? Let's prompt the vote.
You have 2 yeas and 6 nays.
Motion fails. We're back to the main motion. Next up, we have Commissioner Smith-Charles.
Thank you, Chair Markham. A few quick little takeaways just to be representative of District 17 in my conversation. Immediately when I got wind of how this could impact my communities, I did make calls. I'm happy to say I was able to get 4 out of 4 people to answer from each of those communities. And in speaking with them, I quickly learned, and of course Commissioner Taylor is way more informed than I about Southfield and their equalization, which is in-house. And I talked to Lathrop and also Royal Oak Township. Both of them partner with the county. And so what was evident to me is, yes, it was unexpected and would increase costs for them in some kind of measured way. But over in, I like to think in a collaborative sense, when I spoke to the city administrator for Southfield, Mr. Zorn expressed how, Southfield helps support Lathrop Village in a lot of ways, from dispatch and some other elements of just the fabric of the community, and has offered, of course they'll have to talk with Lathrop, that maybe they partner, maybe Southfield partners with Lathrop Village. And so we live in a huge county, and it's definitely representative of a lot of rural and suburban and urban, and just in terms of how it would impact District 17, also as priding myself on being fiduciarily responsible, I think that this is what needs to happen. Of course, I've talked to Mr. Mr. Leffler about it, and again, the temperature that I got from my communities was that it's kind of writing on the wall, and I will be supporting the original motion, and would like to just see us be fiscally solvent, continue to have our AAA, and there's a reason for that, is because we're focused on right sizing. And about the unions, it was really painful to hear Mr. Roselle speak about union busting. If anything, I think this body has been incredibly compassionate, deliberate, diligent, all those words, as it relates to just working with our bargaining units, and would like to see that continue. But as with most union engagement, as far as my time, having been in 2 unions before, they're just doing what they need to do for their people. But as far as the county, in our budget, we have to do what's best in that regard. So I do appreciate it. I just want the union body to know that this has nothing to do with that. If anything, it's about keeping us solvent and not being upside down. That's all my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Commissioner Woodward.
I think my comments in support of this resolution were made as I made the case against the last amendment. So I have nothing further to add.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Cavell for a second time, I guess.
You don't have to say it like that, Gwen. We all know. All right.
You always have a lot to say. It's okay, Charlie.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, I just wanted to say first, Chair Woodward, everyone, I think, agrees with you that like what you're saying is right. The math needs the math. And okay, I see your faces, but I trust Brian's math. And I believe that Dave is right. But the point is, not that. The point is, if I'm understanding these people right, like they're scared. And I think they're scared just understanding local government budgets as I do. First, because unlike with the law enforcement contracts, they don't have a ready source of other funds, like a police millage with millions of dollars in the bank to be able to withdraw or go towards. Second, as a lot of these folks lifted up, they are in the middle of their budgets, and they did budget increases. But then part of point 3 is the rate increase is much higher than they thought. In fact, 3 times higher than the LES contract rate increases. So all of that coming into effect, I think puts us in this place where these people will be inclined to want to flee to subpar, worse service that will then fleece them, because these people that work in the private market, business people do business people things, but their goal is not to help the residents of Oakland County. Their goal is to get their profit margin. And I worry that they will run away if we do not show that we have good partnership and we want to negotiate in good faith with them. So with that in mind, I would like to make an amendment to extend these contracts at a 4% increase for 12 months.
Are you making that a motion?
Yes. Amendment. Yes.
I just want to speak to that. I haven't said anything on this topic so far, but I'm going to put my comments on the record here. This is very uncomfortable for everybody in this room. But the fact of the matter is, we have been talking about the rates. We have, over the past, I would say, 18 months, been working very hard to make sure that we are, as Mr. Leffler said, we are not making a profit. We are charging what the true cost is. I happen to live in a community that does their own assessing. And I don't know what their exact rate is, but they don't use the county services. But they pay county taxes. Everybody in that community pays county taxes. So for those communities that are getting their assessing done by the county, the communities that are doing their own assessing are actually helping to pay for those indirect costs for your community. So when you complain about, well, why are you including the indirect costs? The bottom line is that is what it costs to provide the service. Fundamentally, math, right? Everybody keeps saying math because the numbers are so big. So I am not going to support anything that's going to push this out even farther. I think we do have to find ways to make it happen. And I know that as Commissioner Woodward's example, as he was thinking about that, I was thinking about my car insurance, where they creamed us 3 or 4 years ago at the state of Michigan, and when it was supposed to come down, but it didn't. So we've all been there when this kind of thing is happening, but fundamentally, if you look at the, I don't know how many pages it was, 250 or something like that, to complete this full analysis, we've done the math. And this is where it is. So I'm gonna be against the amendment at this time. Do I have a second on the amendment? Commissioner Spiz has a second. Okay, Commissioner Woodward.
Well, don't let it be said that I won't oppose in a bipartisan way. All right, so again, we're going to talk math again. Like, the proposed amendment is more than a $2.6 million subsidy on the backs of all Oakland County taxpayers, and it's just irresponsible. The example that Commissioner, the sponsor talked about, I get feelings. I get not wanting to pay. I wish everything was cheaper. I wish we had more revenue so that no one had to pay for anything. But that's not a reality, and it's not adult, and it's not grown up. The concern, and I think the one thing that Commissioner Cabell actually brought up that I think it is a North Star that every local community should look at, that every public leader has a responsibility to look at the full picture the long game to make certain that you don't make brash decisions. Because if you make brash decisions, you will pay the penalty, you will pay the cost. And so I appreciate that Commissioner Cavell says, I want, what I hear in this amendment is that we'll kick the can down, we'll unnecessarily spend $2.6 million to subsidize it, but then in a year, we're going to be back on track doing the very same thing. You don't run your house that way. We don't run county government that way. And neither one of our CVTs in Oakland County run their shop that way. That is irresponsible. And I want to lift up I think the intent is like, I want to make you feel better. But it doesn't fix the problem. It delays the problem. And frankly, things will grow. It'll be more expensive because if you were to do that, the cost for a subsequent 3-year contract will be that much more because all you did is like put off the inevitable. So I encourage commissioners to reject it and advance the proposal as presented.
Commissioner Taylor.
Thank you. I would just like to say that for me, it's just a fundamental decision. We gave our CFO a direction. He followed that direction. It's here before us now. We have an immediate need to act. We should not be putting this off because they have more work to do as of July 1st to give us more accurate information. It comes down to trusting the numbers and the work that we asked him to do. I frankly trust him. I trust these numbers. The numbers, as we all know, no one is disputing them. They are what they are. So I think it's time for us to take the vote and move on. Thank you.
So we have an amendment on the table right now. I'm recommending voting against the amendment, but let's go ahead and prompt the vote. On the Cavell amendment.
We have 3 yeas, 5 nays.
Okay, amendment fails. Back to the main motion. I only have one other person requesting to speak, and that's Commissioner Spiz, who...
Are we back on the main motion now?
We're back on the main motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I know there's been multiple comments about the numbers don't lie. For somebody that's been doing math for decades, I can make the math look like I want the math to look at by what I include in that number, which you've heard me talk about this before relative to the indirect cost. It depends on the equation, right? Sometimes you do the equation to get the outcome you want versus actually putting everything in there, or vice versa. That being said, I'm not going to debate the numbers for very long. One thing I do have a question about is, let's say 10% of the 32 drop out of this, 20% drop out of this. Does it change the numbers for 25, 26, and 27? Or should I say when they drop out?
No, because what's going to end up happening is that I would hope that the people in the assessing division actually either go to the communities that say, hey, we would like to provide you this service and here's our rates. Novi, $41 per parcel. Southfield, over $45 per parcel. Can we help you with we have the same type of people. We would love, possibly, we're going to need staff. We may have to absorb them or reassign the staff that are there. Now, when I say reassign, under the UAW contract, there's going to be rights underneath that. I just don't know what that means in terms of that right now until we know who are going to sign up and not sign up. I don't know the answer to that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. That is all the commissioners, I believe, that had a comment. Okay.
I want to say something. I'm not going to plan to change the rates because those who stay, the operation of the division is going to essentially be on it. It goes
Come
back
to the microphone so your comments are recorded.
I'm sorry about that. It goes back to the same question that Commissioner Powell had. There's a talent pool we have inside the county to who we have. That's why I'm saying I don't know what that means in terms of staffing. of who are going to stay or what that means or what changes there. But it's going back to what are the type of parcels in there and what we have on a team.
Commissioner Woodward?
This isn't really about debating numbers because the numbers are the numbers. Math is the most universal language. It does not lie. You can't trick math. Like the numbers spit out what the numbers are. I have a math degree. Like I am formally trained in mathematics. I know you're in this town. The amount of information that's been presented, particularly those who like a lot of data, and then to have it said, yeah, I'm not going to debate that, is ridiculous. Like this is what it costs. And if you dispute a factor of that this is what personnel costs, and this is what postage costs, and this is what space costs, and this is what printing costs, and all the things that go into assessing, by all means, bring it up. But I think all the data presented, and the fact that when you bring up an argument, I'm not going to debate the numbers, is because the numbers are what they are. It is the true cost of providing the service, and it is far lower than what the average community who does it their own. I mean, and it's far lower in what even these proposed contracts are because of the unaccounted amount that is being pitched in some of the RFPs. So this is a good deal. I get that it's more. And I get that people don't want it. And to other comments, and people would rather not pay it. But this is what it costs to provide the service. And I would urge commissioners to vote for this.
Okay. And then the last person I see is Commissioner Cavell for the last time.
Thank you. I just want to lift up just to make sure it's clear. I'm making the emotional plea because not everyone likes math as much as Dave, I suppose. But the emotion is tied into the fact that if Huntington Woods has to spend another $40K, and Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, or Ethan, you're still here, good, that if they have to spend an extra $40K because next year their amount doubles from 42 to 81, like their city budget's $3.7 million. They're 35% funded on their public safety employee millage or pension, right? Like there are real financial strains, and this is not an easily accessible thing where you can just put an operating millage on the ballot, because also Huntington Woods is capped because they had to do a road millage to transfer money for their pension liability back in 2020. So like this cost will come from something. Parks and Rec, city services, trash pickup, public safety. It will come from something. And again, this is different than law enforcement contracts when communities came and yelled at us, but then had a couple $1 million, or in Rochester Hills' case, $13 million in the bank from a public safety millage that they had been collecting for years. This is general fund money that all of us know local governments don't have a lot of extra in. And this happening immediately hurts. And we agree that that's a $2.5 million subsidy or whatever, but that we've been doing that subsidy since 1971. So, and also they can compete in the private marketplace to get fleeced by them and then come back to us in a couple of years. But why do all that if we just give some time to talk it out? So yes, it's emotional, but that's why it's emotional.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, I am going to close the discussion and prompt the vote.
You have 5 yeas, 3 nays.
Motion carries. Thank you. Did the results come up out there? There you go. Okay. All right. Not. Okay, let me go back to my agenda here. Okay. Oh, so you're going to have to leave. Go on. All right. We'll just, who else is on TIF? Okay. Okay, but if you leave, we still have a quorum. Okay. Yeah, we can still do it. Yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to our last item. Item 13C, the overview of federal grant funding. I take a motion from Commissioner Spiz, supported by Commissioner Taylor. Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner. I want the two people that probably are in our grant area that are essentially, we are giving you essentially monthly reports on the impact of possible grant reductions. And so I'll let Laura and Tiff talk about it, and I'll have them introduce themselves. But, you know, in terms of like grant, I'm going to make sure I don't, she does all that compliance, and she, oh no, it's the other way. It's compliance and all the accounting. So I just want to make sure that two of them, go ahead.
I'm Tiffany Keys Bowie, and I am the grant compliance administrator. And I support all of the county departments when they seek to apply for a grant. They come to me, and I make sure that their documents, everything contained in their documents, can comply with what they're submitting to the grantor before they submit it to you guys for approval.
Hi, I'm Laura Randall, and I am the Fiscal Services Senior Supervisor for Grants. Tiff and I are like the Siamese twins in the fiscal department because we work very close together and collaborate on anything that happens all the way from the beginning of a grant to actually when a grant ends. So I have 6 grant accountants that are on my team, and they all represent the different departments within Oakland County. And so we make sure that the reporting is accurate and that we are in compliance as far as what's allowed to be reimbursed for the grant.
So there was a notice of a reduction, so we'll let you go through that. So there's something in your paper, but I will let them go ahead and talk about it.
Every day, Tiff and I come into our emails and look to see what is possibly the feds could be coming up next with any cuts. The most recent one was one that had to do with COVID-19 related funding. We are in a sub-recipient agreement with Oakland County Health Network, Community Health Network related funding. It was about $26,000 that we have lost. And unfortunately, these funds cover 2 positions. With the loss of the COVID-19 grant, the other remaining grant does not cover these 2 positions fully funded. So we are working with the health department, specifically Leanne Stafford, and she is working with OCHN to find out if we can get more funding from them to cover the 2 positions.
Does anybody have any questions for this group? Commissioner Cavell.
Hey, I saw in no, there's another document. It's a big spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I can't find it. Yes. Okay, so if we scroll down to page 6 at the bottom, we received $471 million in state and federal grants. Am I getting that right? Basically, like I know there's $9 million for other, but
This one.
And yeah, I'm actually throwing him in the mix here because Brent Straub was supposed to be here, our chief of budgets. But today we have already started the budget process for FY26, and we're meeting with public services right now. So I'm actually just asked him to stand in. So just if there's something that you have particular, we can certainly get back to you, Commissioner. But I just want to let you know is that the whole point of our monthly reports to the board, or at least to this committee, is to make sure you're aware of what we're having to address with either reductions that are federal, direct federal, or through the state, as we, like even Brent Straub last month came back to you and said, and it impacted health. So, but I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add in terms of the dollar amount there.
Well, the 471 is what we've been awarded.
Sure.
And so the next column is the billed amount, and that is what we've billed to date for that 471,000. So the remaining amount would be your last column, which is the 295. I would say that that would all be the amount that would be in jeopardy if they came back and said everything was going to be rescinded.
The 295,
Yep.
understood. So the main thing I'm wondering is more from like a theory perspective, I guess, which is some of these are super huge funded, you know, like friend of the court from federal sources or state federal sources. Do we have any, I guess, us as a finance committee, maybe we have that here, but can we or will we have any conversations about how to be prepared to plug these gaps? I've been reading that other communities have done things like that to make sure that they have some money set aside so that this can, I guess, if you will, smooth out the impact of what might be a federal cut.
It could be substantial in terms of you take the total dollar amount, but it's going to essentially be through the budget process, either through budget amendments. But if we've identified if there's a grant that's been reduced, then we have also identified the personnel that could impact. And so I think what the departments are trying to do is, I don't want to use the word supplanting these situations or whatever. This is where I look to Tiff and to Laura to make sure that if we can work with Leanne Stafford to find other sources, then that possibly could keep that position. But at the same time, though, I certainly understand about the Gosling amendment in terms of that we have to address the funding of a position. And so we're giving you that now. Once we receive that and tell you, Commissioner, then it's up to this body to direct us how you want to either reappropriate other dollars from other areas within the budget to cover it. But I think what we're trying to do is give you advance notice quickly. Like this is, for example, like this came within the last week to us. And so the PowerPoint presentation wasn't even updated. I just asked them to write a memo because this is where we want to keep you timely informed. And then it will be incorporated into that PowerPoint presentation. Okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
Then that clarity is helpful because I would love for us to discuss as a committee and as a caucus, Democrats, in the budget process, how we can budget for potential cuts or future cuts or anticipated cuts. Because as we've seen from what's happening, as I think we all, at least were told or knew, they're coming for Health and Human Services first. So we don't have to just accept that.
So
like
one of the things you're going to see this year, and I've asked every department, courts, offices to provide a list of mandated services by state law or by board resolution, because you're going to say, well, are we this position, or why do we have this position or this service? If it's mandated somehow, then you need to know that information, and then you can make that decision going forward.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Thinking ahead.
Yeah, appreciate that. And
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you today for your presentation. I have asked Mr. Loeffler to give us a monthly update as things are changing quickly. You know, we know today where we're at. In a month, it'll be a little different. So I've asked him to come back in a month and just keep us up to date on all of these changes as we're seeing them from the state and the federal government. So thank you very much. And that concludes our regular business. Next up, we have our second public comment. So the gentleman in the blue.
Hi guys, sorry to bother you again. I kept thinking about this. I've been doing this for 33 years. Back when Dave and Mike were probably still in high school. I'm more looking at compromise. Thinking, okay guys, you guys want these figures. Why don't you offer a 1-year contract to all the locals at the smoothing rate, the $23.77. Give everybody a chance to digest it, have a committee set up. Dave, you can be an out volunteer, Mike, commissioners and CVTs. Come for a way, we know it's gotta go up. Nobody's denying that. It's the idea basically, I don't, you guys probably don't even remember proposal day of 94. Do I get punched in the head or punched in the stomach? I took the stomach punch. I did because I figured I needed my head better. Same type of thing. We know it's going to go up. All of us do know that. But I think if you go and say, okay, guys, this buys us time, gets us through 26. If you do it now, look, you get 13 people that bow out. You're done. Then everybody's rate's going to be $50 a parcel. Adopt your smoothing for 1 year. Buys everybody time. Kind of what Charlie was saying. Gives everybody time. It's your rate. It's nothing we're making up. Nobody's going up crazy high. And then have a committee set up of CVTs and the commission to make this thing work. We don't want another sheriff's thing where everybody gets pissed off, where everybody hates everybody. Democrat, Republican, I could care less. You could be purple. I could care less. I want to get this done, and I want to get it done right, because we're all best benefited by the county's assessing services. I don't have another contracting company come in and end up undercutting everything. We're all spending years and years making up for things we missed on uncappings. It took us 10 years to get caught up with uncappings we missed. And our assessing department was good. There's 3 people. How much could they do? I don't want another thing where I've got a school sitting out there being assessed, taxable value $66,000, and it's worth $414,000. I don't want that again. Adopt your 1 year. I think everybody could kind of agree with it. Set up a committee. It'll still going to go up. We know it's going to go up. Maybe you might get more buy-in, less people pissed off. My thoughts, because I looked at that's the way to make it work. You get your numbers, and it's not astronomical. Get a year, buy yourself time. Makes everybody happy. Everybody doesn't have egg on their face. Nobody's pissed off. Everybody's involved. Those are my comments.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who wants to make a public comment at this time? Seeing none, is there any other business to come before the board? Seeing none, I call this meeting adjourned.
Members of the TIP committee, please remember that there's been people